All right, so this is a review of simple probability. A probability is a measure of how likely an event is to occur. For example, today there is a 60% chance of rain. The odds of winning the lottery are 1,000,000 to 1. What are some other examples you can think of? Probabilities are written as fractions from 0 to 1, decimals from 0 to 1, or percents from 0% to 100%. If an event is certain to happen, then the probability of the event is 1 or 100%. If an event will never happen, then the probability of the event is 0 or 0%. If an event is just as likely to happen as to not happen, then the probability of the event is 1/2, 0.5, or 50%. And all of these are exactly the same. So if we were to put this on a line, we'd have on one end impossible, and on the other end is certain. And in between, you'd have unlikely, equal chances, likely. If it's impossible, there is a 0 or 0% chance of it happening. If it's equal chances, it's 0.5, 50%, or half. And if it's certain, it's 1 or 100%. When a meteorologist states that the chance of rain is 50%, the meteorologist is saying that it is equally likely to rain or not to rain. So you can bring an umbrella because there's equal chance of it raining or not raining. If the chance of rain rises to 80%, it is more likely to rain. In that case, there is a greater chance of it actually going to happen. It's not a guarantee, but it's still most likely to happen than not happen. If the chance of rain drops to 20%, then it may rain, but it probably will not rain. You could bring an umbrella. It might rain, but it's not likely. So you have to kind of think about those things. The probability of an event is written as P event. So whatever the thing is going to happen, we put that as event. And that's equal to the number of ways an event can occur divided by the total number of outcomes. An outcome is a possible result of a probability experiment. When rolling a number cube, the possible outcomes are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So those are outcomes that can happen. You can't get 7 because there is no 7. There's no 0, so you can't get 0. So if we're just rolling a regular dice, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. An event is a specific result of a probability experiment. When rolling a number cube, the event of rolling an even number is 3. You could roll a 2, a 4, or a 6. So we're talking about probability. The total number of outcomes is the how many ways could it happen? Total number of ways. The number of ways the event can occur relates to a specific set of rules that you're looking for. In this case, the rule is we're looking for the probability of rolling an even. Well, out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, you only have 2, 4, and 6 in that case. What is the probability of getting heads when flipping a coin? So, probability of getting heads, event is in parentheses, looking for heads. The number of ways, well, that's one head on a coin, so there's only one event or way that event can occur. And that's divided by the total number of outcomes. Since there's two sides of the coin, you end up with two possible outcomes. So the probability of getting heads is 1/2, 0.5, or 50%. All right, let's try these. What is the probability that the spinner will stop on part A? So looking at the spinner, there's only 1 out of 4 sections that have A. So the total number of outcomes would be 4, which goes on the bottom. And the number of ways that event can occur is 1. So it'd be 1/4 or 25%. Or we could even put 0.25. What is the probability that the spinner will stop on an even number? What's the probability it'll stop on an odd number? Well, there's only 3 possibilities, 1, 2, and 3. So we know that for both of these, the probability is going to be out of 3. But for an even, there's only one way that can happen, so that would be 1/3. And the probability of getting an odd, that would be 2/3, because there are 2 ways that can happen. What is the probability that the spinner will stop in the area marked A? Well, very much like the spinner above, there are only 3 possible ways it could stop. They're all equal size, so it's 1 out of 3. All right, let's look at a probability word problem. Lawrence is the captain of his track team. The team is deciding on a color, and all 8 members wrote their choice down on equal size cards. If Lawrence picks one card at random, what is the probability he will pick blue? Well, the number of blues that came up were 3, and the total number of cards that were placed in the bag were 8. So this is the number of events. This is the total possible outcomes. So therefore, we would divide them, 3 divided by 8, or you would get 0.375 or 37.5%. Let's work these problems together. So we'll look at our situations. Donald is rolling a number cube labeled 1 to 6. What is the probability of the following? An odd number. Well, odd numbers on the cube are 1, 3, and 5. And the total number of cubes are total number of numbers on the cube is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then he rolls a number greater than 5. Well, numbers greater than 5, there's only 6, and the total number of sides is still only 6. So the probability of him getting an odds, well, it's 3 divided by 6, because there's 6 possible outcomes. So that would be 1/2, 0.5, or 50%. Here, there's only one possible outcome that could happen for that specific event out of a total 6 possible outcomes. So therefore, it would be 1/6, 0.166 repeated, or 16.6 repeated for the probability of getting that to happen. Again, we get that by dividing the way the event could happen, number of ways, there's only 1, and dividing by how many outcomes there are in the situation. All right, let's try these. What is the probability of spinning a number greater than 1? Well, there are 4 possible outcomes. 4 possible outcomes. So we know we'd be dividing by 4, because that's how many possible outcomes there are total. And how many of those are greater than 1? There are 3. 2, 3, and 4. So this is 3/4, 75%, or 0.75. What is the probability that a spinner will, with 5 congruent sections numbered 1 through 5, will stop on an even? Well, we know that it's going to be 5 possible outcomes, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. How many of those are even? Well, just 2 and 4 are even, so it's going to be 2/5, 2 out of 5, which would be 40%, or 0.4. And the last one, what is the probability of rolling a multiple of 2 with one toss of a number cube? So we have our number cube. We're going to, over here, we're going to throw it. We have 1 out of 6, so we know it's going to be 6 on the bottom, rather. And then a multiple of 2. Well, it's 2 is a multiple of 2. 4 is a multiple of 2. 6 is a multiple of 2. 1, 3, and 5 are not. So it's 3 out of 6, which would be 1/2, 50%, or 0.5 probability.